to the mage side this time around, but we've seen so many marksmen.
Well, for the first time all tournament, Double to play something other than Kai'Sa. 3 straight so far at Rift Rivals 2018, and now a new champion for him. See much luck has been relying on that one, of course. Splyce, sadly for them, have gone 0-3 on the tournament so far, but this would be the upset for all upsets for Europe to get that second game lead coming into the blind pick phase of the relay.
Well, the fans are happy for Splyce. They ban out Kai'Sa. First ban, they're not going to have a repeat. At least they won't lose the same way twice.
And the Aatrox ban coming out as well, showing that respect over towards Odoane. Even though we have seen Aatrox in the middle lane over in some of the other Rift Rivals that have been happening around the world, it just feels like right now he's a pretty strong champion. They just want to take off the board. A lot of comfort picks are still available. Things like the Aurelia for Pobelter is up. Sejuani and Trundle, not usually the highest in terms of ban priority, but if you want to get yourself something like the Sejuani that Xerxes likes to go towards, maybe you want to take something like a Trundle off the board.
And, I mean, it hasn't been talked about that much, but Impact has 3 Gangplank games every single game here for Team Liquid. He has looked good in some, not so good in others. As soon as he had that, 07 game, people started to jump on him. But, one bad game isn't going to dissuade them from, going for that global, going for the damage from top.
And one of the big issues that Splyce has had, if you give this Gangplank over to Impact, they don't normally camp it. They have not spent a huge amount of time playing through their top lane, which has been one of the biggest criticisms towards Splyce, because when Impact was put behind on that Gangplank, like G2 demonstrated, they very quickly took control of the rest of the game.
Well, let's see if Splyce can take control through the top lane right now. They're looking at the mid lane as Zoe's going to be locked in for Niski here. It's going to be a fun one for him. He's already played it once so far this tournament. His first repeat mid laner of Rift Rivals.
Yeah, I think that Niski also has probably been their best performer at this tournament. The Zoe play, even though they got pretty blasted in that game, he was able to find the picks, and he is able to, look for the bubbles across the walls and try and harass the jungler as well.
The problem is, I feel like you're now asking Pobelter to pick up the Aurelia, and while many European mid laners consider Zoe a still favorable matchup into the Aurelia, I know North American mid laners absolutely love that matchup in the opposite direction, and given it is a big comfort pick for Pobelter, I wouldn't be surprised if they look to lock that one in now, and it will guarantee Pobelter something that he's at least comfortable on.
By far his most played champion of the summer split, Rift Rivals included. This would be his 6th Aurelia game if it does get locked in here, and I don't see a reason really why not to.
And part of the key is Team Liquid almost always pair the Aurelia with the Sejuani from the jungle. Being able to stack up the passive very quickly there with another melee champion, go for the kills with the matchup. That's what it's all about, trying to get that burst damage, and just a little bit of stun is going to go a long way.
Yeah, so he doesn't really have obvious escapes. You can move out of the way slightly, you come back where you came from, so no blinks out. The sleep is delayed as well. This could look very, very good. Splyce are looking for a bit of early pressure as well. The Trundle, of course, quite a good fighter in the early game, can get rid of some of that pressure. And if this Yasuo comes in, they've got a great setup for that ultimate.
I like the Trundle a lot more than the Zac cover. I was a little worried at first in case they were going to go for that again, but I think the matchup is much better. And when you have Zoe, one of her greatest strengths is that when paired up with the jungler, she has a very strong 2 versus 2. So I like what Splyce have gone for so far. And interestingly, they're actually going to bring out the Heimerdinger. I don't know where it's going to go, gents, because we haven't seen this champion be played by Splyce yet. Perhaps Odo's been practicing, perhaps it is Corbett. He has brought it once during the regular season, but it's not something that he showed a huge amount of proficiency on.
Sure, but I mean, to be fair, Splyce hasn't shown proficiency so far
That's
much
true.
in this
That is
split.
true.
And that's not meant as shade on Splyce, the 3rd place finisher for the Spring Split. They're obviously very good, but Summer has not been kind to them. Maybe this will start to bring things around. And again, a very nice win it would be for Europe here, but we're starting to see some of those top lane fighter bans. In case you somehow flex Zoe away, of course, Darius could be good into Aurelia mid, but also getting rid of the counters to the Mundo in the top lane. Darius seen as one of the better matchups there, so no surprise to see that ban. And now trying to remove Double's champion pool piece by piece is Ezreal also off the table.
It concerns me that Team Liquid are putting so many focus bans on towards the top side of the map, because things like Morgana, Braum, Tahm Kench, Alistar, all these really strong supports and kind of comfort picks for Kasing are still left up and available. And sure, it gives Impact a slightly better matchup, but if you're just going to play tank v tank, which is likely Splyce just looking at something like an Ornn, they're fine with that. And it can actually give them a winning bot lane against Doublelift and Ole, which for Splyce would definitely be an advantageous thing to have.
Yeah, I think Team Liquid are trying to whittle down on some of the other attack damage, like possible threats that could come out from Splyce, because having Mundo, everyone always likes to talk about how good it is against magic damage with the extra bonus that he gets for his magic resist. And with Heimerdinger usually being played in bottom lane now, that wouldn't leave a lot of extra space for attack damage to come in from Splyce, aside from the top lane.
So basically, it's a bunch of bans from Splyce aimed at things that Doublelift has played so far this split. Rakan lowers the chance of playing Xayah, Ezreal, and Vladimir off the table. The Kai'Sa ban dearly. So Doublelift likely to play something new in the summer split now with whatever he's going to lock up last here on the roster. Of course, they are a bit physical heavy with Irelia in the mid lane. Mundo not always in the team fights, but Splyce looking at something maybe a little bit different here. They have most of their champions already locked in. They need a top laner and a support most likely. And the pick against Dr. Mundo. Jarvan going to be grabbed here, and I'm actually still not certain if that's actually Jarvan on top. I feel like it's not a great anti-Mundo matchup, but haven't really seen it played.
Now, I believe this was played over in the LCK by Khan. He likes these kind of early aggressive matchups, and when you think about the 2 versus 2 again with a Trundle and a Jarvan, you have a lot of damage with the Jarvan Trundle duo. So I feel like that their goal is to potentially camp and just shut down this top side of the map, as it was a strategy that G2 found success with yesterday.
Also, Jarvan did get some buffs, on the recent patch that were on, a couple seconds off of the flag early on. So we'll see if those come to fruition in the top side, if the Trundle does head on up there. But that's what I was talking about. 2 more lock-ins here for attack damage threats for Splyce. Not only in the top lane, but also from the support. Pyke is actually perfect to round out that comp.
So big physical damage now in the last few picks of Splyce. Lucian, Braum, the bottom lane for Team Liquid. Doublelift's pocket pick, but still his only so far Lucian game this split. It's going to be fun one to watch for, though, as we've seen Heimerdinger get push pressure so often in the bottom lane, and Lucian, pretty short range, might be hard-pressed to get around that.
I feel like that with Lucian Braum, though, it's just such a strong 2 versus 2. If they can get to the wave early, they might look to be able to go aggressive. And we know that Doublelift, on this champion, it is very comfortable for him, and if he's going to find those advantages, it will be using this one. But I feel like overall, Liquid have drafted themselves a pretty solid teamfight comp. Irelia considered an exceptionally strong team fighter, even after the nerfs that we are playing on. Mundo, very effective against many of the magic damage that he's going to be dealing with in Zoe and Heimerdinger. And across the board, I feel like Splyce have drafted a little bit more of a pick comp and kind of a skirmish-orientated comp, which is focused a little more around the early game, which is not a style that they've often played towards so far this split.
I'm super hyped up for this bottom lane, honestly. Doublelift on his Lucian with the possibility of Braum stuns. It's actually pretty decently easy to outplay a Pyke in the bottom lane, with the Phantom Undertow really being the only ability that's going to concern you when you go for the all-in. And if he does use that a little bit early, then Team Liquid could easily go for a kill lane for themselves.
But that's the debate. Bot lane Splyce. They're not interested in the kill lane Kobe. They want to get that Pyke out of there as quickly as possible, and they want him roaming around the map with the Zoe, with the Jarvan, and trying to get kills elsewhere because bot lane...
Perfect. Then the Heimerdinger's by himself.
Exactly.
He's got turrets to hide behind. It might not even be so easy, but going to be a fun one to watch for, and I'm excited to see how the junglers match up, because it feels like there's a lot of lanes that can put pressure on them, and if Trundle and Sejuani can get out, it's going to be exciting. So here we are into the game, Splyce versus Team Liquid, the finals of the North American European Rift Rivals. A 1-1 scoreline between the regions so far. Splyce definitely large underdogs, but what an upset it would be to pick this one up. We're on to the Rift, ready to go into this one. Let's see how they can do.
So my eyes will be on Xerxes, because I feel like that he could look for a very early gank up in the top lane. Odo Amne can just let the wave push in just a little bit. Xerxes go from red straight to top and see if they can utilize the level 2 spike of a Jarvan to maybe force a flash or even get a kill down onto Impact's Mundo.
Yeah, actually, these 2 junglers, I believe Xerxes, he was your first LCS team jungler for spring.
He was.
Smithy was ours, so we have a bit of a matchup here. Of the 2.
Yeah, let's forget about the last time they met. Just push that one aside. This is definitely the first time they're meeting right now.
Yeah, well, it's going to be fun. First time that matters. We lost the group stage anyway, so this is going to be the important part of this one, as Kabe puts some aggressive turrets down to spot the brush and is not going to be caught out just yet. Instead, money. 5 gold for Doublelift, and in fact, 5 more, as that one's... Wow. All right, infinite gold lead. Can't come back from this. Just call it over.
Paid by Kabe, Doublelift now with 10 extra gold.
Wow. Steve's got to run for his money here on this one. Pobelter going to walk back in a bit and find Niski. Hopes to outplay the Q. It doesn't. Niski, far superior player.
Well, Electrocute popping as well is a pretty decent trade, just for Doublelift, or I mean for Pobelter, even trying to get back into minion range here. So nice little short cast there on the Paddle Stars.
This is something that many EU mids like to do to Aurelia. Basically, they just use the range advantage to try and zone her away from the farm as much as possible. And they consider that because she's quite a linear champion in the sense that when she uses her Q, she goes in a line. And that when she uses her stun, also in another line.
Yes.
You can actually kind of punish her using your E. She doesn't have a huge amount of outplay potential, but that obviously depends on when she gets to a point where she can start clearing the minions with things like the Tiamat and the Q, because that mobility is when the matchup starts to shift in Aurelia's favor.
See, but I have a question for you. What shape is the ultimate in when it hits? Is it also a line?
Yeah, it attacks you in a straight line, and then it spreads out, and then you get trapped in a box.
Into a non-line?
In a triangle, sort of.
A triangle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you take geometry?
It's okay, maths as they call it. Oh, snap Niski. Yeah, that was pretty nice right there. No smite for Smithy. Good pick up there for the Zoe. That's how I pronounce Zoe. I just don't say the E.
So keep your eyes on Trundle again. We talked about his potential to look for a top lane gank. And Smithy is stealing away the Raptors. They are pinging up towards the top side.
And there is Trundle heading around, but right now just going for Krugs in the top side of the map, but he is surrounding onto Impact right here. Only level 2, so 3 and 3 versus Dr. Mino 2, now level 3 himself. Will they try to dive? Looks like they're going to go for this one. It's going to be aggro first picked up by Jarvan, taking some shots with their Impact right into the left-hand side. Odomna might have to flash and drop aggro, but now it's Xerxes almost dropping forward, and Impact survives that gank, not burning a single thing.
Yeah, that was not a great dive from the side of Splyce. Impact positioned perfectly just as the minion wave arrived too, meaning that Odoamne gets stuck underneath the tower, he's forced to flash out, and Impact walks away a happy man.
And that's something that we saw a lot of Team Liquid in spring as well. When teams would focus on Impact, he would constantly absorb the pressure, use as little cooldowns as possible, and that would allow Team Liquid to focus on double lift and the bottom side of the map, which is where they won most of their games. Also, calling back to that mid lane fight there, Niski did have a challenging smite for Zoe. That's how he was able to outburst it. Was able to pick that one up with the W before heading over to the Scuttle Crab.
Bit of RNGesus helping him in the river. Now, the bot lane getting pretty aggro from the side of Splyce.
And right now it's looking to push right back, but it is a farm lead so far for Double Lift and Ole, so this 2-on-2 going pretty well. Double Lift, one of the preeminent laners in Western League of Legends. So far doing pretty well on this one. A couple of cheers from the audience. And it's going to be W channeled, and Cobalt taking a lot though. Ignite is on as well. Spell Thief really helping actually so far Niski in the early game. Got a Scuttle Steal and a couple hundred extra damage with Ignite.
Yeah, picking up extra summoner spells is definitely a valuable tool to have. That's why a lot of people are infuriated by this champion. He's also able right there to, even though he didn't land harassment on Pobelter, zones him off that cannon by throwing the Paddle Star right through it. Smithy, though, this is the other side of the matchup.
And yeah, jumps over the wall, has to respect all this one. Will they go for any much of a sleep? Not just yet. A nice stun, though, for Pobelter. Good damage here. Hasbin needs to jump back to if he needs
committed now.
And he's going to still take damage, but stays alive on this, and out they go. Liquid, though, not quite winning these trades, and it's an 8 CS lead for Niski. For that was the Scuttle Steal, but for that is outlaning.
So nothing too major here. Cersei just helping the push so that his mid laner can either go back to base or maybe get a bit of deep vision down. You have to keep your eyes on vision as well, because you can see that there's going to be a lot of moving parts from the side of Splyce. They have a lot of early pressure with the Heimerdinger in the bot lane, and Niski pushing
Oh, this could be enough for the kill, but it's a cleanse brought in, not, of course, Ignite, so Niski not going to get the rest of the damage in. Pobelter, though, so low here.
Smithy just wants to let him base right now, but he keeps getting attacked.
I'll have to jump over the pillar. Good job saving that one and not getting it turned around, but this is a lot of mid lane pressure. Niski doing a great job controlling this lane, and of course, Xerxes helping out.
And keep your eyes on Kasing. Every time a bit of action is happening on the map, he's roaming around.
He gets the stun. Ignite is on. Can he get the damage on double push? Kaido White gets the stun, has to run though, and could Kami land it, but not just get blasted. Oh, he blocks it! Oh, but he gets the wrench anyway. A spanner in the works, and Splyce gets first blood.
Kami curves the wrench around the wall, and now Smithy's down too!
Nice stuff out of Xerxes, getting the solo kill in the jungle. Splyce showing up today.
Splyce find an early game advantage. They go against the trend of falling behind so far in Rift Rivals, and getting it against Team Liquid is such a huge confidence booster for the European team.
Oh, Kasing diving right into that brush, stopping the backs, picking up the kill for the bottom lane, and then just extra cherry on top for the chase down onto Smithy. The Trundle and Sejuani matchup is one of the classic counters that we see, but usually the big effectiveness is when the ults come in. Here's another look at Kasing finding him in the brush. And then Ole here flashes to get the unbreakable. He does get stunned though, so he can't reposition in time. And Kabe just moves to the side to nail him in the head with the wrench.
And then Smithy, he tries to go for a skirmish with Xerxes because he knows that Impact has pressure and can roam down to help, but then Impact leaves him. And Smithy's like, whoa, no, I need your help if I'm going to win this trade. And because he gets left alone, Xerxes, having proc pressed the attack, ends up finding a solo kill.
Also, that was literally just basic geometry. Smithy you need to go a straight line is the quickest escape from any point. And yet, he then curved, went for the Altered Assault to the top side rather than just running straight out. That allowed Xerxes to catch him with just the flash follow and make up that distance.
Well, good stuff then out of the Splyce squad as the TPs come back in, and Impact wants to rejoin the lane. Is down 11 CS so far in the matchup. Odwamna doing a very good job in this one, but otherwise a pretty mundane laning phase for this top lane.
Thing is, for Splyce, you know, it's difficult to get excited because they've had early game leads before and haven't done a lot with them. And while their composition gives them a couple more options in the early game, like they have the Jarvan to set up dives around top, they have Kasing roaming around the map, their proactiveness has always been an issue. So for Splyce, you have to keep eyes on players like Kasing, like Xerxes, to be moving around the map and utilizing this early lead that they've started to build for themselves.
Sejuani now waiting around the wings as well. Goes into spot some with the ward here as they go in towards Kabe. The ult's gonna land. He's gonna pop a stopwatch, but no flash get away. This should be a kill picked up, and it is so. The giant turret will fall off as well with Heimer dying. A nice pickup there. His team left him, and a good engage for Ole.
Really good punish from Team Liquid. They recognized that they had numbers advantage.
Is he going to be slept? Yes. He's going to turn drowsy. He's going to be a lot more Crocodile, hooking him right back into the team. Tries to flash away, gets a big stun. It is going to go down 3v1. The tides are good. Niski on his first kill of the game.
There's that roam you're talking about up to the mid lane. 3 members of Splyce are able to get a kill back for themselves here. Ole trying to roam up and soak some of this experience for himself, but it's just the support there, so can't even lend Targon stacks on the cannon.
And really, that was mistakes on both sides, because Kabe should have realized that his jungler and support were not paired up with him. They were trying to get a bit of deep vision down, and he stayed too far up into the lane, not respecting the all-in from the Braum. And there's nothing really that the rest of his team can do. And when you know that there's players missing on the map, you then have to respect that they might come to your lane. And Pobelter, he just overstays in mid, and that makes it very easy for Splyce to return the favor.
He was also trying to dodge, wiggle back and forth right there. But Niski holds on to the bubble till he uses his portal to get very close, ensure that he can land it, and they picked up the extra kill.
Yeah, beautiful stuff right there. I gotta say, props to Niski for getting that trouble bubble to land. It was not the easiest. He had to kind of get the straight bubble going, but guessed it right and set up that kill. So we take stock of the game. 900 gold lead to Splyce right now. Definitely within reach. 900 is not insurmountable, but still a great performance so far. And Liquid North America kind of needs this win. It will be tough, of course, for the rest of this best of 5. 2 more games. 1 to 2 more games to play after this one, based on how the results go. These waves come into the turret, and it should be pretty easy waves to here for pull-up.
I mean, you talk about finding those wins for Team Liquid. If they can secure a win here, they then lead the best of 5 in a 2-1, and you know, it increases the chances of maybe even finding that 3-on win because we go into blind in the next game. We are guaranteed a 4th game at the very least. But for Splyce, they haven't won a game all tournament yet. And going back to Europe, being able to take down Team Liquid would be such a huge confidence boost for them, especially after what has been a very challenging tournament.
Yeah, pretty incredible. When you consider the group stage scoreline was 5-4, and considering a 0-3 Splyce, it was 5-1, not counting them. And you can see here, of course, their standard sort of throughout the tournament games being 0-3, tend to have not great early games. So, yeah, Splyce overperforming so far, and what a time to pick up a win if it does happen here.
All right, well, there are Moby Boots on the pike. Kasing should be continuing to look for moves past that mid lane and punish the melee champion there in the Aurelia. As of right now, they're all heading bottom lane, trying to focus on Doublelift and Ole. Control Ward is cleared out, but that will give some notice to Team Liquid to back off.
Again, yeah, that's Smithy forced to run away. Not going to be hit by the bubble. Pobelter waiting around, but does not have a fight for himself. 8-9 right now, a 16 CS and 1 level lead for the Splyce mid laner as 10 gold goes over with the ward, but it is Splyce with control in most areas of the map. A nice stun, good damage, only at 2/3.
Yeah, one of the big things about Heimerdinger, since we're seeing him so much, is those little white bars above the turrets charge up the laser, which is where the big damage actually comes from. With this champion, and those are charged up when you land your spells. As you just saw there, grenade's gonna land, and that gives you the laser charge up to add the extra damage. so you really have to watch out about dodging his spells.
Watching out. This is a 3v3 as when he comes around. A lot of damage to the front line. Odola is already gone, so Devil's going to force to be kiting over the wall. And Niski now showing 4v2 on that side as we watch the top side. Here comes the dunk, the flag and drag back out. Not if I Odwam the wanted, but Impact him. He's going to look for the chase. Not going to land the first cleaver, though. Out he goes. A trade of ultimates.
Another nice move there from Splyce. Going to pick up the kill as well as the Mountain Drake here fairly early on for themselves.
Splyce, again, finding another pick is pretty significant for them. This proactivity that we wanted to see is starting to come into fruition, and a lot of it is off the back of Kasing. He's utilizing this pike to move around the map. And it's kind of a stark contrast to what we see the last time that he brought this champion out, struggling in the 2 versus 2, not being able to have that kind of roaming impact and finding early kills for his team.
Plus, Xerxes and Niski working really well to control this river and the avenue down to the bottom lane. Trundle really, really abusing that extra advantage that he has over it. And we have had Moby Boots also picked up on Ole, a guy who was originally, lauded with so many accolades for his roaming support and creating kills elsewhere on the map. So he's trying to match the mobility of Kasing, get some deep vision down for the team into the jungle so they can actually see those plays from Splyce before they get started.
Going to set up a trap down there in the tri-brush as well, but likely to not find anything. As Smithy and Impact see a ward to kill as well, as getting ready some of the vision. Waiting for those roams to happen, though, waiting for those mid-lane plays. We talked about how much Sejuani and Reli could do in Champ Select. The Braum in a similar state, but yet to find much here as now Kasing might be going for the play. He's stealthed up, but going for the hook. Not going to chase for much on this one. Out they go.
So even though Splyce sit at a 1.5k Goldie for the time being, Team Liquid aren't that upset about it because they're working towards their first item spikes. Impact has just found Xerxes.
He's almost in range to start getting stacks on that stun.
Ultimate,
be careful,
though.
Impact down to 300 HP, has to get over the wall. Now the Drowsy onto Aurelia. The re-engage going to be there for Jarvan. This could be a very tight fight for Team Liquid. Pove's going to put in the ultimate, get a bit of damage across, but he's got nowhere to go. Niski grabs that kill as it's traded back as Xerxes falls over the wall. But this could be a re-engage. Double's going to land. This could be bad for Dr. Mundo. Jarvan coming around, waiting for that play. Going to find not quite the knockup on a 1, but dunks in 2 of them. That's going to be a great fight in for Splyce. Odwam that picks up 1, Niski the other. Beautiful for Splyce.
And Splyce are cleaning house here in all of the skirmishes, taking down Team Liquid once again. 7 kills for themselves and the freedom to push both their mid and top lane waves in.
And I was,
Man, everything is going right for Splyce here.
Pove just obliterates double lift.
That was the perfect combo. Hits the grenade, throws down the turret, and the W comes out. All the missiles just blowing double lift up.
Oh, they secure a mid tower, they're securing a top tower. Splyce saying, don't worry, G2, we know you messed up at the start of this best of 3, but we've got your back, as they are controlling the pace of this game versus Liquid.
Pave in a 1 versus 2 kills. Double lift pushes out Ole as well. He is just on performance right now. Kasing now here to join. Redemption to help out. This could be days numbered. Braum's in a 1 versus 4. He's going to quickly pop the stopwatch and buy a few more seconds, but not going to go anywhere. Niski going to pick up his 4th kill of the game. NA exports at work.
Well, we had an upset earlier with Europe's #1 team, G2, dropping to Echo Fox, but it looks like Splyce want to do the same to North America as they've got Team Liquid on the ropes.
And it's the way in which they're doing it too, because Splyce are just being so proactive. Here we see Impact and Xmithy trying to get a collapse down onto Xerxes. They even have push in mid, and they think they can get here first as Pobelta zones out Niski. But Xerxes survives such a long time that he allows Odoamne to come down and turn the tides of this fight.
And he does so much damage to Impact, even though Impact had the ultimate running there on Mundo, the challenging smite, the press the attack, the ultimate all shredding him, that it leaves it for Odoamne and Niski to be able to clean up the 2v2 afterwards as well.
And Mundo, without his ultimate, he really doesn't offer a huge amount of value in these fights. And Double Lift, he is not expecting the grenade to come out of the brush into the ultimate rocket into the face.
Didn't even need the second laser there. By landing all the rockets, that was plenty of damage to finish it off.
And the Rockets' red glare doing a lot of damage there in North America, and this is going to be a quick pickup as Harold goes over to Splyce. They're going to grab this one. And at least one turret will go over. Liquid on the scoreboard a bit, but all 3 outers already gone. The gold lead 3,500. Splyce still getting farther and farther ahead here. We talk about the game being a little bit early game focused, but they're going to keep scaling so well with all this money in their pockets. Looking now at top lane.
You have the Rift Herald and Impact, no flash, gets hooked
Nice
up.
hook into a stun. Uh-oh, Dr. Mundo. The rockets come in for him. A stopwatch to buy a few seconds will immune the one ultimate, but still nowhere to go. Gonna get picked off as the turret's taking damage as well. And be careful, that is now a drowsy Sejuani. A big chunk down on that side of the map. Rockets in as well, and another turret's gonna be picked up. Splyce just running over this game. They've pulled an Ole as well. Forcing him to jump back to his team. Siege continuing.
Yeah, and Rift Herald here should be able to get
dead.
Oh my god.
Niski finds another pick, and they are just continuing on with the pressure. Where was this Splyce team from the rest of Rift Rivals? They are dominating over Team Liquid right now, and they have a 6,000 gold lead.
And where was it? Rest of Summer split as well. They had a 0 fart to the split. Summer just was not a good start to the split. They had a 0-4 beginning, and just this is now them on much, much better form.
That's one of those autocorrects you leave as is. They definitely did have a
lined up pretty well, actually, I must say. But beautiful stuff out of Splyce overall, as can be said. So it's, the call for me is just, okay, play around Baron, how can they close this one out with this gigantic lead?
So when you're looking at things from Team Liquid's perspective, they still have the ability to team fight. But when you're at this kind of a deficit, Jarvan, Heimerdinger, Trundle, Zoe, they're all not terrible team fighters, especially when they have this just slight item advantage. So Team Liquid are kind of relying on the scaling game right now, hoping to get to a point where their AD carry can do more damage than the rest of Splyce can.
And 6 kills here on Niski in the mid lane is going to be a significant item lead for him as well. That just gets so oppressive. If you can't control vision then, because the sleepy trouble bubbles fly over the jungle walls, start picking people off, and he's got enough items to back up the bubble with 100% kill. Top lane though, Team Liquid looking to make a move with most of their members. They do show a little bit early though.
And the chance of a 3v1, but the reinforcements were there very, very shortly for Splyce. No dive to be had, and Niski's a little bit late on the R, doesn't find any damage there with this. Bubble's not going to land either as they play for vision control in this side of the map.
Interestingly, Splyce have actually put Cobbett down towards the bot lane. Always a risk up against Mundo, given how good he is up against mages. He does have the TP, so can join his team should Splyce want to try and force a fight. But with the Baron spawning relatively soon, it does feel like they just want to keep these turrets auto-pushing down in the bot lane.
And generally we're like, oh yeah, Mundo is so good against mages. However, that's also when he gets to lane against the mage and build into Spirit Visage. He actually has built a lot of armor here because of the last 2 picks there for Champ Select, having to lane against Jarvan. He actually doesn't have a lot of the base magic resistance to be able to multiply for himself. And we saw in the top lane how even though Heimerdinger is not squeezing every ounce of damage out of the combo when he's using this ult on his maxed ability, which is the rockets rather than the grenade, still was more than enough to get a kill.
Not coming through here. He's tries to get through on the dive. Nice flash away from the big stun. Now Dodo's going to be making this chase happen, but Oda without a flash is likely to be picked off, but a nice flag and drag buys even more space. He's got that flash Q coming across, the ult to follow up, and that should be enough CC to grab the kill, but at what cost? The rest of the map is being pushed. Bot lane under fire, mid lane as well.
Exactly that, Freak. While Team Liquid were trying to dive top lane, Splyce were taking 2 turrets in mid and bot, utilizing that split push to really gain advantages elsewhere on the map.
And it is really heartening to see this. Even though it is Europe, taking down and defeating one of North America's best teams, or having them very close to it, Splyce on social media have been a bit down on themselves with their performance, and it's really nice to see 4 players have some success. Kabi here is looking for double lift, but unable to find the hider.
And it's interesting that you mentioned that, Kobe, because I had the opportunity to sit with Cobbett for breakfast, and he basically said, even though we went 0, if we go 0-3 in groups, as long as we're not useless in the best of 5, that's what matters the most to us. And right now, Splyce are definitely not being useless.
Far from useless. Yeah, only one team beaten Team Liquid so far at Rift Rivals. That was G2, and is looking pretty now solid for them. We, again, take stock of this one. A 5,000 gold lead. Baron Nash is alive. Double Mountain Drake as well for Splyce. They have a very easy Baron rush with a Heimerdinger on that roster. Just the question is how good the setup going to be. When will they pull the trigger on this one? Team Liquid, though, right now have decent vision around Baron. They will see if and when Splyce starts, so take some time to clear out that vision.
All right, they do have the Spirit Visage completed here for Impact on Mundo, so he should be a lot safer in those team fights when Niski and Kabe are trying to unload all of the magic damage on him, but it's still going to be quite risky as far as the setup, and they're going to rely on Sejuani Braum combos to stun someone to be able to take them out first.
Okay, here comes the next opportunity as Kasing wants to find something, not quite going to do it, but they will knock down this ward here, and it is Splyce now taking over Vision control, and the controllers of Team Liquid are getting pushed down. Now Vision going away. There's a few pieces of Vision in the river itself, but it's increasingly darkness right here. More and more difficult for Liquid to play around these plays. When does a rocket come through? When does a grenade come through from this Heimerdinger? At what point do you get dunked in by Jarvan? These are all things coming out of Fog of War now.
So what Splyce is doing right now is, rather than start the Baron off, they're just maintaining control over Liquid's jungle and waiting for any Vision that's left in the river to just run out. Because they know that they have plenty of control wards left in their inventory and Vision, that they can just keep the pressure up, keep the waves pressured against the tower, and now they're looking for a
knock-up, trying for Ole. Not going to get damage in a double lift just yet, but now with the knock-up in, this could be a re-engage. But first, it's going to be Braum dropping down. Kasing cashing in a second time. This TP will not be completed. It's still on cooldown, though, as Impact now has to walk across the map to join his team.
And now that Splyce have got their pick, they've got double Mountain Drakes to instantly burn this Baron down. Heimerdinger could probably even do it by himself, while everyone else holds off Team Liquid. Here they go, though, into the river where they've got the extra Vision.
Splyce in Fog, and Impact gets found out there. Pillar in there, the knock-up in as well. They could just burn him down. The health bar way too low, trying to run away, and that was going to be actually a quick kill picked up for Liquid. As they're going to make this fight actually happen. Both are running away. Xerxes low, but now Niski gets that kill picked up, a 1-for-1 in this skirmish, and now the chase in. Can they find the damage? Puts in the paddle sword, but not quite the kill just yet. Smithy's still running away. Mundo is running, but he's on fire. He's trying to get away. Now Ole has joined that fight. Long-term 2-for-1, though, with that Ole pick earlier on.
And Impact survives even with Kasing flashing in on the pike with the Ignite, trying to finish him off. Doesn't get enough damage, and they're barely able to survive, even though Pobelter does go down. That does relieve the pressure around the Baron.
You're also looking at the team fight power of Team Liquid in that small skirmish, because when Impact becomes the focus, Double Lift is free to deal a lot of damage on the backline, and he has 2 completed items, so Impact receiving a lot of the focus means that you can see Pobelter deals a decent amount of damage. Double Lift sitting on the backline is free to hit who he pleases, and while they are still at a deficit, which is why this ends up being a 1-for-1, this is the potential that Team Liquid do have if they can continue to stall out this game. And Splyce need to be careful when trying to force these fights, and would much better off find these picks and find these small skirmishes.
Yeah, Pobelter's ultimate there, the Vanguard's edge, saved him.
He's going to try to get away from this one, but there's going to be a lot more CC coming. Not quite going to land the bubble. It's Pobelter, though, losing his flash for that honor. Another advantage to Splyce as they look to shove in that mid lane wave. Liquid will answer this one.
So you can see a big wave building up in the bot lane. Odo has TP, whereas Impact does not. If Splyce are going to force a Baron play once again, this is the prime opportunity, as Double Lift is going to be the one forced down to the bottom lane, and him TPing in the fight is nowhere near as optimal as Team Liquid would like.
Team Liquid have a lot of good wards flanking the Baron pit. Splyce have just found the one on top side, but one does remain, so a little bit of information there. The 1 hero ward did survive for them. It's going to give them a couple extra seconds.
And this top jungle, battleground. Double Lift did show himself in the bot lane, shoving out the wave, which means this could be the... Yep, that's the call. Splyce going to start up Baron as they force the TP out of this one. And that's going to be now on cooldown as Double Lift comes back to the team. TP down.
But that's all Splyce wanted, right?
Yeah.
Now there are no TPs on the side of Team Liquid. Odo has a TP advantage, so even if the wave is pushing bot, he can go bot lane, he can catch the wave, he can then push it back out. And then when they have these TPs, that's when it's easiest to set up for the Baron, like it is right now.
Okay, double mountains.
And then doing a lot of damage right now. It's got to be another face check for Team Liquid. Kasing in the front lines on a half HP on this Baron, though, and Liquid are not yet in range for the Steelix Smithy. Going to be found out and dunked. He does have a flash, but he's not going to get a range. A nice pickup. Xerxes grabs that to trade for a single kill. This team fight needs to be won by Liquid. But Baron for a single death is a great call out of Splyce. A good job by Odwam to stop the team. What a Baron picked up for Europe.
Yep, he's able to get the Cataclysm off, keep Smithy from entering the pit. We all know how good of a chance Smithy does have to steal objectives if he just gets close enough to try and smite it. And Splyce, don't let him inside.
Good use of the Heimerdinger to just, you talked about it earlier on, Kobe, solo down the Baron. When you have the triple turrets, and he may have even used his ultimate to reinforce the extra damage. They could use Xerxes and the rest of Splyce to just zone Team Liquid away for as long as possible. And Odo, the initiation may have looked...
Yeah, he's recalling on a control ward. Ole can actually see that it was there. That's a little bit risky there. They're going to play for this blue as Double Lift grabs that without too many issues, but look at this mid lane siege Baron buff on 4 of them. And this is now inhibitor lining to be attacked. All the outside turrets are gone.
This is a huge make or break moment for Team Liquid as well, when they have to deal with this Baron empowered siege from Splyce. If they can defend their inhibitor turrets and survive a bit longer in this game, that would be the opening that they need to get right back in, because Splyce, if they get inside and start taking down the inhibitors, then they have a pretty easy road in pushing this one forward.
Nearly a 6,000 gold lead plus Baron buff on 4 is massive. Impact takes big damage. Hooked over the wall! That is huge from Kasing, and they're going to burn him down! Splyce, get the pick as the siege even begins.
Well, this one should go straight forward then. Splyce, Baron empowered push, and that is going to be inhibitor turrets falling simultaneously.
2 turrets down, 2 inhibitors themselves to follow. Liquid backs against the wall. Need to find some kind of defense at their nexus itself. Splyce not likely to stop pushing. Giant waves, Baron empowered coming in. Liquid might be running out of space now.
Mark Z told me he didn't smell any more upsets, but Splyce are going to serve it right up.
They're going to go for this one. Poelter inside with the exhaust on him. 1 turret's falling down. Liquid with a re-engage, but they do not have the damage. The health bars running down for Liquid. 1 and 2 kills picked up already. And this is Splyce now walking over the game, in control the whole time and winning it faster than Liquid did back in group stage. Splyce, a dominating 2-1 lead now for Europe.
What a huge win for Europe and a bigger win for Splyce. Taking down the first seed from North America, regaining some of the confidence that they have lost throughout the group stages. And now they give a little bit more safety and security going into the blind matchups that are going to be happening for Game 4 and 5.
And you've got to wonder which teams you're going to send. Coming into the day, you're like, yes, Splyce is a sacrifice. They'll lose their game. That's okay. Fnatic and G2 had good records. But now, with Fnatic dropping, or sorry, with G2 dropping their game earlier and Splyce looking so good, is that one that you maybe consider switching around? It's like,
yeah,
maybe
G2 useless, garbage.
I mean,
we just get Splyce in there. They're the team.
Send them home.
I know it's not the expectation, but that form was really, really good. And at a certain point, like, do you consider pivoting that? And that's the question that needs to be asked for the next 2 games. Any one team can come out, but only one more time. Like, you can't send Liquid twice more. You can't send G2 twice more. One team sits out, and the other 2 teams will play 1 game.
What I feel like is we're seeing a little bit of the value and power of blue side specifically, because when you compare the 2 drafts of this one compared to last time, Splyce got a lot more comfort picks and were able to answer a lot of the things that Team Liquid drafted. And Team Liquid are a little predictable in how they look to draft. So to me, it felt like Splyce came in very well prepared for this game and executed upon it perfectly.
The first pick, Zoe, did so much work for them in coordination with the Trundle counter onto Sejuani, and that was all that they needed.
All right, well, to hear about that upset victory, Ovly standing by with Splyce's menace in the mid lane.
Thanks, guys. Niski, congratulations on that upset win against Team Liquid. What's it like to pick up a win in NA again?
I mean, it feels great, you know, after losing 3 games. It's kind of like relief, I guess. I mean, we worked really hard to like win today, and it was really great to win for Europe, so yeah.
And what was team mentality and maybe morale like coming into today's game?
I mean, we knew that we're like not far, like our level is like quite good, I would say. It's just that we struggled a lot on stage on the previous games, and we knew that if you play our game, it would like, I won't say win easily against TL, but like if you just play our game, and then it would be like, I won't say a free win, but like an easy win.
And EU is now up 2-1. What are the chances of EU just taking it all in the next game?
I mean, I'm pretty sure we will be 3-1, 100%.
There's the confidence. Well, congratulations again on the victory. And for more on the game, let's hear from the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Ovly. Redemption for Splyce after an 0-3 group stage. They strike back and take down the #1 seed from the NALCS. Mark, you said there were no more upsets coming today.
Was this an upset?
It was silent but deadly. It's one of those ones you don't see it coming, and out of nowhere you're like, oh, this upset's disgusting.
I'm about to swap you and Jad out on the traitor list, the NA traitor list for that.
I got it wrong. I wasn't intentional.
Let's be real. That again was a pretty crushing victory for Splyce over Team Liquid there. I mean, how did it happen?
So, first of all, the donger was there for Kobe. Finally, he gets to play an AP champion on the bottom lane. Only gotten to play it a few times back in the EULCS. Zoe, though, was the main one we have to talk about.
Yeah.
Niski has been the best performing player on Splyce since the spring playoffs in the EULCS. He's been the only really positive individual member if we look at the start of Summer Split as well. And finally, he gets his chance to really show it here on the big stage against Team Liquid, and what a performance.
Yeah, and I'd say for TL, this draft is not that bad at all. You're pretty happy
It's
about
fine,
it.
yeah.
Pobelter, Aurelia, and Zoe's played it a million times. Sejuani for Smithy, Mundo for Impact. This looks like a pretty great comp for TL.
Yeah, I think most of it was just on Splyce's execution. They were a very proactive team, and when you're talking about upsets and thinking that one team is superior, a lot of times in your head you think it's not that bad. You think, okay, they died here, but they still have a good tank line, so even though Doublelift died to Heimer, it's not that bad. And just because the Trundle is able to get a kill, it's not that bad. No, they traded 1-for-1 here, so they're going to scale later, and it's not that bad. But eventually, it actually is very bad. And Splyce completely snowballed this game. This play in particular was huge.
Yeah, it was super good play, and it's just crazy for me to see all these plays from Splyce actually going in their favor, because that's not been the case all split long. They have not been proactive. They've fallen very far behind in a lot of lanes, especially someone like Kobe and Kasing have struggled.
That was bad.
That was
very bad.
That was a great Heimer play.
Now, this is not something new necessarily for Team Liquid. The idea of perhaps underestimating an opponent. I'm trying to dive into why exactly this happens for a Team Liquid squad. Again, every analyst and expert was looking at this as a pretty sure victory for Team Liquid.
The teams were looking at it at the same
Right?
time.
You're talking about Splyce not being proactive. Perhaps some of it is the fact that they were told they were the sacrificial lamb, so hey, we got nothing to lose, let's play with no pressure. But for the side of Team Liquid, when things matter, when things are on the line, we've seen it internationally at MSI as well, they just can't seem to hold it together.
It's tough to say exactly why that is, because so many of these guys have been to so many international tournaments. They should be used to the pressure, but they come up short time and time again, and this time it just felt like there was no counterpunch. You know, Splyce kept forcing plays. They were good plays that they were going for, but TL was almost always on the back foot from it.
Yeah, and after this, we were kind of thinking, why doesn't EU just send Splyce again, right? Because G2 didn't look that great. Fnatic looked shaky against 100 Thieves, but they have their submission.
I was going to say, I wanted to hypothesize which teams would be submitted, but we already got the answer. For Game 4, NA has elected to throw Echo Fox into the ring. Fnatic will be coming back for the side of EU.
Okay.
So a new matchup here. What do we think about this one?
Yeah, I think Europe will be very happy with the fact they get Fnatic against Echo Fox and not G2 again, especially if they want to do funnel for G2 in a Game 5 against maybe Team Liquid.
Right.
But
didn't we just hear Broxah say we're not good against the funnel, and we think Echo Fox is the one team that can funnel?
They're going to play standard because they're bad with funnel, right?
Remember, it's a blind submission too.
True.
It wasn't like expected TL to get thrown out there again.
Yeah, I would be surprised, because anytime you get destroyed like that, you probably want, if you can take it, a game to
reset,
recollect yourself. But the funnel comment was interesting, because Echo Fox is like 1 in 5 with funnels, and they keep memeing about it on Twitter and stuff like, yeah, our funnel's not very good. And then Broxah's like, oh, we're scared of the Echo Fox funnel. Please don't funnel against us. And I hope Echo Fox doesn't do it.
Is anyone else a little disappointed that Splyce didn't get thrown right back out?
Slightly.
After that, that's what I'm saying. I'm a little
They looked
disappointed.
better than any other EU team today.
Exactly.
But of course, you do have the group of coaches, and if 2 of them outvote Peter Dunn, Splyce's coach, then they're not going to throw Splyce out there.
It was one game, right, where they looked good now. There was 0-3 so
and one
far.
game where G2 looked bad, right?
Exactly.
So it'd be hard to make a full flip, right, just because of that. But for NA, all of a sudden, backs against the wall, got to put 2 together straight here in order to take it for EU. They just got to find one in the next 2.
We called it 2-1 Europe after 3 games.
That's true. It just
doesn't
was
matter.
not the way anyone expected.
We called the 2-1.
I don't know. If I was Echo Fox, I'd be so pissed right now. Like, you go out there, you get an upset win, you get your 1 seed versus their 3 seed, who, like you said, is actually 7th in Europe. And they can't even do it. It's not like
roll.
Yeah, it's not like, oh man, we tried too hard to style on them and we entered a level 1 first play. Yeah, they just got beat up for 25 minutes.
Let's dive into this Game 4 matchup maybe just a little bit. In terms of champion select, we've or maybe we just watch this clip again.
We can watch this.
Why you gotta make us relive that?
Did like an EU producer sneak in there and like press a button?
It's in there.
Wait a
Let's watch Doublelift die again.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It was just a dream. We're still 4 minutes into the game. No, talking about what these teams might pull out. Of course, we've seen Fnatic with the double top laners in the lineup. Been very comfortable, selecting that Heimerdinger and, flip-flopping the guys in terms of the matchup. How does Echo Fox even approach drafting against this squad?
I think they will go in with a standard draft where you can actually have someone like Dardoch if he can get a Kindred again, he will grab it. It should be banned away. But have a draft where Huni and Dada can play League of Legends. Not be stuck in a side lane in a funnel comp or anything weird like that. I don't want to see Alistar for Dada either. I actually want to see legit picks where they can carry. I think just for Fnatic, luckily for them, when they do just draft normal on their side, they can actually just match the lanes. Because in the G2 game, G2 fell behind in almost every lane except for mid. And they just lost bot lane turret early. Should not happen in this matchup for Fnatic. And Caps will have the advantage in mid over Phoenix.
What bans do you want to see out of Echo Fox? What do you want to keep Fnatic off?
I want to see Heimerdinger banned, and I think I want to see Aatrox banned. Because it doesn't, even when they had going up against Aatrox, they threw Renekton up there with Phoenix, and it was a total disaster. So those are two definite bans, but that leaves up a lot of stuff, and it's difficult to get a winning bottom lane. I think just not getting destroyed bottom lane for Echo Fox is really key, because Dardoch needs the freedom to go wherever he wants, and that's taken away from him when his bottom lane gets smacked.
And I don't think I want to see necessarily standard. Like, if you find a time, like if you have Mundo fall into your lap into a good matchup, like
sure,
I don't hate all tech goes top, but I definitely agree. I don't want to see. I want Huni and Dardoch.
No funnel comp.
Being very important factors in this game. I don't want to see the funnel for that.
Well, the score sits at 2-1 with EU in the lead. They're at match point. Time to see if Fnatic can close it out or if Echo Fox will strike back in Game 4. Don't go anywhere.